What's up, friends? This is Manni, and welcome to one of the most popular daily driver starter packs in Star Citizen, the Cutlass Black, with a full review and a 50-second intro, ship tour, ship combat, medium and high difficulty, stats and loadouts, cargo hauling, then comparisons and alternatives, and FPS mission gameplay, and then at the end, my honest conclusion to the Cutlass Black. You're seeing it here in the beautiful Elysium skin that was sold with the same name package, also including some guns and stuff, and an armor. And this really looks like it comes from a certain place in the sci-fi spectrum, a certain universe. I'll show you in a minute which one I'm talking about. Let's go into the ship tour, ladies and gents. And as usual, I'm trying to be as thorough as possible with my ship reviews, giving you all the alternatives to it in case you want a similar ship but not the same. In case you want to see all the different loadouts, we're optimizing everything to the absolute limit with the perfect meta loadouts, even including missiles and making them more effective, and so on. This all the stuff that I typically do in all my reviews. And of course, we're seeing different difficulties of combat and mission game loops that the ship allows you to do. So if you like that sort of stuff and these kind of all-in-one reviews, then stay tuned, subscribe. I would love to have you guys around for the next video. Now, the Cutlass Black is a mix of a daily driver that combines elements of a dropship, as you see here with a left and right ramp or opening, and also the drop seats that you can see here on the left and right on the back. And it has a large cargo ramp opening up, making it a bit similar to maybe a Corsair in a smaller way, or other ships that just have cargo. It has 46 SCU, and that is a decent amount of cargo, and you can probably grid 60 to non-grid. Fit 60 to 80 SCU without gridding the cargo. There's no stationary machine gun on the sides like the Valkyrie or Asgard have. It's not that drop-shippy, but it's drop-shippy enough. Now, we're going into the middle room here with the manned turret on the back, and that is on the Shiv, the new 4.3.2 ship, a remote turret that can be controlled by the pilot too, and has 4 times size 3. This thing only has double size 3, and it requires a person to actually sit there, making this a multi-crew aspect ship, more than most others, okay? We also have decent sized weapon racks, and on the other side, which I'm showing you with an arrow indicated in a second, the cargo storage where you can fit also armor, weapons, and everything that you need as gear, okay? Of course, there's also 2 beds, so for the time while you can bedlock, this is what you can do. And here is the cargo storage area left and right. And then there's a co-pilot seat, my friends, where you can, for example, operate the tractor beam, because there is a tractor beam in the back that is accessible from within the hangar, basically. It's not the best tractor beam, but it gets the job done if you open the ramp first. And then, of course, there's the pilot seat. But before we go there, let's check out if we can fly the ship from the co-pilot seat. No, we cannot, okay? Just so you know, we have to get into the pilot seat to actually fly the ship, and that's what we're going to do now. The VTOL thrusters are functioning and are now in landing and starting position, and the landing gear is going to be retracted. Now, you see that this is a Drake ship because it's more functional than sophisticated, but it is extremely good at what it does, being a relatively cheap all-rounder that does everything pretty decently. Not the best at anything, but definitely good. And if you're wondering what universe I was talking about with the Elysium pack, yes, it's this one, the Warhammer universe, my friends. With the Space Marines, it looks so much like it with the blue and golden. Now, let's go into the first PvE space combat, okay? A moderate risk target, and we have like a hoplite or a Vanguard Harbinger or something here. And that one, I don't know what it's doing, it's just sitting there, and I'm destroying it, no problem. It goes down very quickly. Then we have a high-risk target, and there's multiple different high risks. There's the high risk that I'm going to show you now, the good kind, and then there is the too high-risk target, which somehow kicks my ass. You're going to see this in just a minute, okay? But let's first get rid of a couple of enemies here with the missiles, which, again, there's going to be a large fitting section where we also make those more powerful and more fun. Boom. Target has been destroyed by that salvo of size 2 EM Dominators, okay? And you may have already seen in the top left that I've had more than 20 of them. Yeah, that's part of what I'm talking about. Now, before we go into a brawl, I thought I'd fire a couple of missiles, and now we're getting targeted and the combat begins. I'm making the pip larger, right here, boop, now it's twice the size, which just helps you to see it a little more clearly. You can activate that in the options, yeah, and press a button to do this. So we're on the scythe. You can tell it's a scythe because it also only has a one weapon arm emplacement or so on the one side, and it's asymmetrical. The glaive, which we're going to fire at in a minute, has 2 of those arms and is symmetrical. That's the glaive then. And now I've lost my shield, and what I do sometimes when that happens is I just disengage, use the relatively decent mobility that the Cutlass Black has, have to disengage and fly away in quantum and just recharge my shields and come back in for another run. We're firing, after all, against 3 targets, or fighting against 3, one of them being a hurricane. That is quite dangerous. You have to drop the hurricane early because it can dish out a decent amount of damage. We can ignore the Valkyrie there for a minute because it's really too slow to follow the other ships. Can't really help the others very well. And aside from that, it just takes too long to destroy it. So we're going to focus on the others first and leave this one left for the end, okay? And although it does fire in all directions with its gunners in every way, it's not as dangerous. You can ignore that one a little bit if you're not standing right next to it. And destroy, for example, the glaive, which you're seeing here. It takes quite a lot of firepower, but we are running here the most powerful meta build that you can buy or build with the Cutlass Black, and the glaive goes down pretty easily with that. And now we have the remaining target, which is the lead target that we had to destroy. That is the Valkyrie. And this thing is an easy kill once the rest of the ships are gone. It's not very mobile, it's not fighting very effectively, and the firepower coming from those heavy size 3 attritions, in this case salvaged auto repeaters, are high. Very high, in fact. So much so that this Valkyrie doesn't stand much of a chance, and I don't know why they keep standing still every time I take this position. Now let's go over to a little more funny 2 high-risk target. It's not the mission name. I added the 2 because you can have this high reward or high risk mission we had before, or this one with the MSR. And I already destroyed the back shield of the MSR. So from now on, every shot this ship takes is full damage into his backside, and it's already red. By this time I was like, alright, so it's not going to take much longer with these salvaged auto repeaters size 3-4 times. That is a load of firepower. It's 2600 DPS or something. That should do the trick pretty quickly, but I'm still firing at it. For some reason, this ship is still alive, even though I'm constantly just shooting into its aft section and not having to deal with the rest of the shields that are still up. We're just firing, and now I actually got destroyed. I was like, how the heck did that MSR, the Mercury Star Runner, that's on paper doesn't have that kind of HP, somehow feel like a hammerhead to me? Alright, so yeah, I somehow even survived the fall, but now I was stranded. Anyways, boom, skip back into the same combat again, but with a fresh Cutlass Black that I respawned, I reclaimed the ship, and I came back, and there it is, the same ship. I've just destroyed the shields again, and now we're working down the rest of the hull. And I was like, alright, this time 2 or 3 shots after the shield and it must be destroyed, right? 30 or 40 shots later, I was like, this is insane, this is ridiculous. Why in the world does the MSR tank this much? With this one section, the same section that I keep firing from the beginning till now. It should have failed so long ago. How is it not dying? But yeah, so somehow we're still on it. And I have made the decision to ignore the other ships this time, so I'm getting shot by all the others as well. But finally, at the end here, oh my god, there it is. Oof, we got it. The high-risk target got destroyed. So if you have the MSR there, maybe you want to kill the for other ships first and just save this one for last. And then you can fire a couple of missiles, because those things can slap insanely high and do so much damage. Let me show you how. So here we are on the stats and loadouts part of this review, starting with the Cutlass Black having 46 SCU of cargo, which is pretty good for an all-round daily driver in that size. 30,000 HP on its hull and a decent mobility as well. It's not insanely good, but it's also not terrible. And then we have a default loadout with 1200 DPS because it mixes Panthers with Mantis GT Gatlings. We also have a tractor beam for cargo handling that's sitting inside the ship further back. And we have a mix of size 3 and size 2 missiles in the default configuration. I would advise against it. Let's look at the meta loadout, okay? That would be Ardor Salvaged Repeater, which is the same as Attrition size 3, but slightly upgraded. If you don't have them, just choose Attrition size 3. All filling the 4 size 3 slots here, reaching 2,500 DPS, okay? And then I also switched the energy-based turret to Tarantula GTs on the size 3 manned turret, so we get even more DPS into the energy-based weapons pilot controlled, and also still have a really capable, pretty quick 1,600 meter projectile speed per second anti-fighter and anti-all-around gun for your gunner, in case there is somebody in there, okay? We also swapped all the missile racks to 442, which means we have now 24 size 2 Dominators, bringing the altogether missile damage up to almost 60,000 compared to the 33,000 that it had before, because size 3s just aren't as good. Okay, also 2,500 DPS plus 620 on the co-pilot side. Big difference to the starting 1,200. That's a setup I would advise you guys to go with Attrition 3 or Ardor Salvaged Attrition 3. Then there is, of course, the PvP dogfighting setup, although the Cutlass Black is really not well meant for that. But you could go with 4 times size 3 Panthers. You would still come out with 1,200 DPS, but very fast little energy projectiles with 1,800 meters per second projectile speed, actually able to hit even faster moving targets. But of course, the mobility of the Cutlass Black will be your bottleneck here. Whether or not you can get something in your target is a whole different story. Now, as for the rest of the meta parts, we have a size 2 shield, the Rampart, giving almost 6,200 HP. We have the Genoa power plant that you can buy everywhere or in certain locations. It generates the maximum amount of 20 points, although there are 2 higher, but those can't be bought. We have the Ice Drive with generating almost the highest amount of cooling potential, although you could technically also leave both coolers away and have even more energy, but the energy distribution is so high here, you got so much energy, you can leave one cooler in, and in the future it will definitely have some repercussions not having cooling. For now, I remove always one cooler and just keep one of them, and you see the cooling efficiency is perfect. Hemera Quantum Drive all the way, every time, every time, because it's almost the fastest drive. It has a shorter cooldown than most of the others. It has among the highest efficiencies and range. It is just overall the perfect drive in size 2. There's nothing better than that. And then we have the Shiv. The Shiv here, as I show you, has 2 size 4s and 4 size 3s. Here on the Shiv, that looks very similar to Cutlass Black, has this turret also up there, but it's not a manned turret, it's a remote turret, and you have access to that as the pilot, together with the double size 4s left and right. So you bring 2 size 4 and 4 size 3s, and altogether you rock 3,700 DPS in the main attrition combination. Okay, compared to the 2,500 that the pilot has on the Cutlass Black, big difference. Also mobility-wise, if we take a look at this, Cutlass Black comes with 39, 35, and 110. The Shiv has 50, 42, 137. Ridiculous mobility that the Shiv has, despite having the same shields, power plant, cooler configuration, and more firepower, right? Also, basically the same amount of HP. Why the heck is it so fast? No one really knows. But it's a new ship, and I guess it had to be very interesting. But yeah, 32 SCU, that's the only downside here. You have a little bit less SCU cargo capacity, but you are just so much more powerful in the ship. That's why it's a better ship, and also costs $40 more without discount, or $25 currently on discount only more, and definitely worth the upgrade. The C1 Spirit only gets to a same amount of DPS, basically, that the meta setup on the Cutlass gets, even a slight little bit less, but you have SCU 64. That's what this one has over the Cutlass, although also it is a much more beautiful ship on top of that too. And the tractor beam can work better as well. So for hauling on anything cargo, the C1 Spirit would be the better daily driver. Aside from that, the Cutlass Black would be better, but the best would actually be the Shiv, because its all-round potential and performance is insane. Alright, let's keep moving through the review. Boom! Without further ado, let's do some cargo hauling. 46,000 Red Wind line haul starting mission with, what is it, 23 SCU. Remember that we can do probably about 46 on grid, and probably about 60, maybe even 80. I haven't tried how much you can squeeze in there, but I could imagine that you can get 80 SCU in there, no problem. And again, sorry for the flickering, guys. I don't know, some update ever since that there's flickering when I record. I don't know. Anyways, we've accepted the mission. We are now about to land at the station where we are picking up the cargo. And we have traveled 19 gigameters here. And let me see how much quantum fuel we have used up in percent to see how much range there would have been if there was more gigameters to travel. Oops, I have to restart the engines to see. There it is. Okay, 14% quantum fuel is what we have lost. Okay, we still have 86% after almost 20 gigameters. That is a good amount of distance. Now, we could either just grid the cargo here. You see the grid spots on the bottom, or there is no grid in the back. And in case you're wondering how you can no grid cargo, if you move it too far away from the grid, it will no grid, or you can hold the right mouse button instead of a left mouse button, and that will basically transport the cargo without applying a grid. So you can just store it like this, okay? And if you do this very quickly and you're not a lazy content creator and you speed this up for your viewers, then it looks somewhere similar to like this. You just saw how much SCU cargo we just slapped in there, and that was barely a fraction of the space occupied. So I think you could get a lot of cargo in there if you use this technique and not grid, okay? So now we're landing in... I think that was Horizon here, and yeah, just look at this. It's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 SCU, 40 definitely on top is a row, 60 then in the back, 80, maybe even 100. Honestly, I think it would be possible, maybe. Yeah, I think I should, maybe we will do this one day to figure out exactly how much it is. But it is a lot, okay? Also, the Cutlass Black is very useful for other game loops that I'm not showing in this review because they're a little off topic, but you can definitely go mining on the planet's surface with a rock miner. It fits into the Cutlass Black, no problem. Of course, also the Atlas mining exoskeleton, obviously. So that was very easily made money again with cargo hold. Let me show you the ship comparisons and alternatives. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed, please stay tuned on the channel. So let's look at the variants of the Cutlass and its alternatives. So we have 4 versions. The Cutlass Blue as a quantum interdiction and scramble for $175. The Cutlass Red for $135, being a medical ship with 2 med beds where you can respawn and refill. And the Cutlass Steel with $235, completely overpriced, but it's the more armored militarized version of the Cutlass Black that by itself costs $110, $130 or $40 with the starter pack, Star Citizen included, okay? Alternatives for starter packs would be the Nomad. The ship itself costs $80. Starter pack is, where are we? Nomad starter pack at about 110 maybe, because it's in euros shown here. Then we have the Avenger Titan starter pack coming in at maybe $85 or something like this. Already a pretty good choice. And the Cutter starter pack coming in at about $70 maybe. Okay, and the ships themselves $60 and $45. Those are interesting choices as starter packs if you're looking for a little slightly different gameplay. The Avenger being a quick, nice all-rounder for anything fast and nimble. Cutter being a stealth ship that you can get extremely stealthy and take people out of dangerous situations without being spotted. The Nomad is a bit of an all-rounder like the Cutlass, but not quite as good in that regard, with less cargo and so on. Real alternatives to the Cutlass Black would be more like the Freelancer Max, costs $150 as a standalone ship, or probably the closest one, the C1. Very popular all-rounder daily driver for many people. Same firepower, same shielding as the Cutlass, but more cargo space inside. Beautiful ship, great daily driver for starting out. and it is only $15 more expensive than the Cutlass Black. And also the new Shiv arrived in the 4.3.2 update, an even better daily driver than the Cutlass Black, but also more expensive. It costs $135 under discount right now, or $150 then after on a regular price. And it looks a little different than this, but similar. They just don't have the right picture here yet. And it has a bit less cargo than the Cutlass Black, but it's so much more firepower. And maneuverability is crazy. It's an insanely good daily driver. Also, currently with the Citizen Con, there are starter pack discounts. Make sure to check out the video on the top right, because it shows you which one of the best ones, and also has a giveaway included. So yeah, just be aware of the new 4.3.2 editions that came after I recorded the first part. And then the ultimate daily drivers later, that would be your goal. That's what you're trying to aim to go for, because these things allow you pretty much any gameplay loop, even into relatively high territories within those that you can play. We have the Constellation Taurus, by far the best price-performance ratio, the best bang for the buck in all of Star Citizen, offering 4 size 5 guns, a size 3 shielding, same as the Corsair, incredible shield capacity, immense range for quantum travel, insane cargo space. So this is really, and then multi-crew aspects built in, so you can play it with your friends in one larger ship, and that is for $200, less pricey than the small Cutlass Steel that offers a fraction of all that. So don't go for that ever. The Constellation Taurus would be your ship next, that you can get either in-game or from upgrading your ship to the Constellation Taurus or the Corsair, if this asymmetrical design and the $50 more do not push you away. Very interesting ship, a little more firepower, same shielding as the Taurus, very nice cargo, less cargo space altogether, but you can actually fit inside the same amount if you just don't grid it, and it's a very nice and quick ship. Alright, one more game loop that I haven't yet shown you that is obviously possible with the Cutlass Black is FPS ground combat, or deploying troops, bringing your friends, you know, experiencing the game together in a multi-crew style. In this case, I am doing it alone, but I do the part that you could do very well with friends, and it just looks so absolutely gorgeous when you approach a planet like this. It really shows how fantastic Star Citizen looks like, honestly. I've landed in, as a security precaution, behind a ridge line here from the turrets, because those size 5 attritions are very, very beefy, and I don't want them to open fire at me if I accidentally hit the wrong civilian in there, because he crosses my line of fire. And yeah, so the thing is though, one thing I didn't know when I started the mission is that somehow I have 0 med stuff with me. I didn't get it. I must have changed my gear, and somehow, yeah, now I'm bleeding. And that bleeding is a death sentence to me now, because completely panicking, I go into the corner, I press the button 3, I'm like, where's my med gun? And I'm like, all right, let me put the number 4 and take a med pen. Oh my gosh, I don't even have a med pen. I'm at 2% health by the time I reach the target that I have to kill. And then I actually just die from the bleeding. Wow. Anyways, that's what you can do. Honest conclusion, the Cutlass Black is a wonderful daily driver. It has a great cargo capacity, it has decent firepower, mobility, it has multi-crew aspects, and for its price tag of about $110, it offers a tremendous amount. Is it the best bang for the buck? No. There is the new Shiv that offers much more for just a little more money, and of course there is the Taurus, the Constellation Taurus, that for almost twice the price will offer 10 times more, literally. But the Cutlass Black is still among one of the best starter packages, or most interesting daily driver starter packages at least, even though I would always suggest going with the Avenger Titan. And once again, there's a giveaway up here in the top right corner, together with an advice on when and what to do with a starter game package. If you're interested in Star Citizen, do that and use my referral code below, because it gets you 50,000 credits in game, and it also makes you eligible for the giveaway. So see you in the next videos, my friend. Let me know what you think about this review, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye bye.